Item number 9D, it's the Development and Administrative Services Salvation Army Bridge Bed Program Resolution. A resolution approving a letter agreement with the Salvation Army Daytona Beach commencing April 28, 2016 for a 90-day period, providing for the city's continued participation in the Bridge Bed Program to address homelessness problems within the city, authorizing expenditure of up to $119,663.90 for the services associated with the agreement, subject to terms and conditions, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions?
I do have speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Doesn't it read 118,663? Oh,
Yes, it does.
All right.
It's 118.
It's
It's not 119.
You said 119. It's okay.
Okay. It's 119 on my
It's 119 on yours?
on the resolution.
The correct number is 118.
Is 118? Okay.
It's 118 on mine.
Okay.
118,663. Oh, okay.
And I'm sorry, once again, Commissioner Woods was the motion, and who is the second? Commissioner Gilliland. And I do have several speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Our first speaker is John Nicholson, and on deck is Joan Campanero.
Sorry, I was outside. John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. Is this 9D? What's the item?
9D.
D, okay.
Yeah.
Just to make sure. All right. My first question was clarification. The $1,000, is that just sum total? Or is that per motel room? Or staff told me it's $1,000 for the 3 months. That seems like fiddling amount of money.
During a 90-day period.
It says 90-day period.
So the way it's written, it's $1,000 to cover the 90 days. So I'm not quite sure if that's exactly what you meant. That's what I'm reading, so I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
That's it? Okay. And is that enough? Secondly, again, I'd like to understand, we're spending this X amount of dollars to facilitate something that we said we would never do, okay? We're not expanding any additional services within the CRA area. Now we're expanding it, but it's temporary. But now it's an extended temporary. We did an extended temporary that only lasted 17 years on the beach side. So to me, temporary is not 17 years. But to the City Commission, 17 years is temporary. So is this temporary, a temporary, which is what the public is used to, or is this a city temporary, which is temporary until the facility out west is built, which would be a 2 to 3 year temporary? So I know you get into, like Clinton, the definition of is. Everything is in the wording. Okay, I got hit twice tonight on wording. All right, what does compensation package mean? What does temporary mean on this? Is this an ongoing temporary? Is this the second and last temporary, or is this temporary until 2020? Thank you.
Our next speaker is Joan Campanero, and on deck is Stephanie Stefanot.
Joan Campanero, 721 Pelican Bay Drive. I'm here tonight to represent the 1,300 members of faith that 4 of you appeared before on March 14th and reaffirmed your commitment to Volusia Safe Harbor. I'm here because 51 days have passed, and yet we're no closer to make this Homeless Assistance Center a reality than we were last year at this time. That simply is not acceptable. It appears that all focus remains on the short-term solution. I'm not here to speak negatively about what the Salvation Army has accomplished, because they've helped many and their program should be extended another 90 days. Yet, at the same time, they have to turn away those in need since there simply are not enough beds. And even for those that get in, they must leave during the day and go to various locations to get their services. That's just simply not acceptable. We need a 24/7 come-as-you-are homeless assistance center with a coordinated entry system, master case management, and consolidation of services. We've attended various meetings throughout the county where Volusia Safe Harbor is declared dead, oftentimes from a member of your own council. We hear of alternative sites being investigated, and I'm here tonight to ask if the city has changed their stance on having the shelter inside the city limits. We must come together and pursue a long-term solution now. Our brothers and sisters experiencing homelessness cannot tolerate another day on the street or another delay. Research has proven that life on the streets considerably shortens life expectancy. The average age at death drops to 50 years of age. Please help save the lives of your citizens by acting now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Stacy Stepanovich, and on deck is Mike Pastore.
Good evening, Commission, Mayor. My name is Stacy Stepanovich. I live at 3948 South Peninsula Drive in Port Orange. And I am the president of the Volusia Flagler Central Labor Council, representing 69 affiliated unions and retiree councils in the 2 counties, representing 36,000 working men and women. And it's in their behalf that I'm here tonight to stand firmly behind our partner, Faith, and their initiative to establish Volusia Safe Harbor. Volusia Safe Harbor is a fully vetted and ready-to-go plan that would provide our homeless citizens with jail diversion and nonviolent misdemeanor offenses, master case management, consolidation of social services, full-time medical and mental health treatment that would decrease the burden on our emergency rooms, and in addition to many other social services. It'd be the only come-as-you-are resource center in our area. We fully support this effort to help our most vulnerable in our community, and appreciate your initiative for short-term solutions, but hope that you will honor your long-term commitment to a long-term solution for the most vulnerable. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mike Pastore.
Pastor Mike Pastore, 400 Fremont. Well, about this situation here, you've read the article in the News Journal about, or the editorial piece to not kick the can down the road, and hopefully this can's getting a little dented up. But anyway, the Greek philosopher Plato in 347 BC said the worst form of injustice is pretended justice. Folks, we're very close to an answer. And I hope you seize the opportunity and support a 24/7 come-as-you-are shelter with no barriers to entry in a close-in location. Close-in means close in. We can do better than spending $1,000 a day over and over and over again while the homeless remain on the streets and in the parks. Now, there's been a paradigm shift over the last few years. While those who support Volusia Safe Harbor are good people, several municipalities have taken steps themselves because of the delay. I am particularly impressed with New Smyrna Beach Commissioner Adam Sachs, who says that we need to take care of the homeless in our city. Then they authorized grant money to social services to help the homeless. Also, DeLand is adding 40 or 50 beds to their neighborhood center in the city limits of DeLand. Also, Deltona has hired a social service manager to actually do, one-on-one case management. I've had a conversation with David Van Dyke with Catholic Charities, have upcoming meetings with Gary Tester with the Catholic Charities, and also Sam Willits. The plan's in place. It's on the shelf. You paid for it. Or we paid for it, $185,000. The budget's there. All you got to do is permit a building. Permit a building and build it out in 6 months, and we're done, short term and long term. Okay, so I don't know why that concept. You're so resistive to that. You're clinging to, this notion that you can export the problem out to the woods. Okay, you got to stop that. I'm begging you to stop that. It's here now, fixed.
Our final speaker is Marjorie Johnson.
Marjorie Johnson, 122 South King Street. This homeless situation needs to be resolved. You keep coming up with temporary solutions. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And these homeless people have been treated unfair by the city of Daytona Beach. When you close the park down up here, the people had to move across the street and sit out there in front of that building for over 45 days. And you're sitting here, you're getting paid to do your job. You need to make it happen. I'm getting sick and tired of being sick and tired of all these temporary short-term solutions that you all are coming up with. I would like to know, why can't you come up with a permanent solution? The county has come forth with some excellent things that they say they was going to do. And all you're doing is patching up the situation. And we don't need that here in Daytona Beach. These people are out there suffering. We have bad weather conditions, and they have to be out there in the rain, and they have to go up hungry, and they have to go without. It was a disgrace the way you sit here and didn't do your job and let them sit there all that time out in front of that building. That was a disgrace. And the people are still talking about it. So we want to know, when are you going to come up with a permanent solution to fix this? You spent a lot of money for a plan. You went to the faith group and you made promises. Yes, 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 you're going to do all these things. You shook your head. And now you're sitting here tonight like, oh, we don't know what to do. We're going to continue to patch things up. But that's not what we need here in the city of Daytona Beach. I like for these homeless people to have a permanent place. I like for this city to do their part like they're doing. Orlando came up with an excellent plan for their homeless people over there. And other people are doing things. Steeland and Deltona, if you can't do your job, you need to be voted out of office, because you have shown us high incompetence on this situation, and I would like to see it corrected and as soon as possible. These homeless people cannot continue to sit here, Derek, while you sit here, you, Patrick, and all of you up here, Pam Woods, and don't do your job. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
I got some comments.
Okay, comments from
Yeah.
Commission.
First of all, Marbett's plan was predicated on all the cities coming together to help fund the shelter. And that hadn't happened, and it's not going to happen. And when I met with DeLand, that's one of the reasons both the mayor and the city manager and DeLand said is the reason they're moving forward with their own small shelter with Neighborhood Center, because the other cities would not commit to a countywide plan. And they're trying to get Orange City and Deltona and DeBerry to at least be part of what they're trying to do. And they don't know if that's going to happen or not. For me, until the funding for operation, you can get the money to build the building, but if you don't have the money to operate it, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I refuse to put the full operation of this facility on the backs of the taxpayers of this city. If we're going to open a shelter and we're going to be the only ones that are going to fund it at $400,000 a year, you're looking at 50 to 75 beds. That's it. And if that's all we want to do, then let's talk about doing it by ourselves. But we're not going to build a 250-bed shelter and be able to fund it on what this city can afford to do. It is humane to keep operating for the 90 days. It's like every speaker that's gotten up here has just dismissed the information that you were given tonight on the number of people that have come out of homelessness through the Bridge Bed program at Salvation Army, and those that have been linked with families and gone back home. It's like that doesn't matter at all. Well, I say the city of Daytona Beach continues to try to do something about it. The long-term solution has to be addressed. We cannot keep doing the temporary situation. But the long-term solution has to be fundable. And right now, it's not fundable. So that's part of what has to happen in the next 90 days. The Commission on Homelessness is looking at it. I will continue to say to all of you that the people I've been elected to represent do not want a facility in the core of the city of Daytona Beach. So all the data in the world can be presented to us, but the political decision we'll have to make is going to be based on all that information as well. We have to be respectful of the people that we do represent. And we all know that whatever we do has to have that 24-hour component. And come as you are. Obviously, it's got to have that. But in the meantime, the group, the homeless strategy team, and some of them are out here in the audience tonight, continue to try to address the concerns of those that are out there on the street and are in the bridge bed program. I can't even talk tonight either. And medically needy, we're meeting again at the hospital with some of the problems that we're seeing with people coming out of care. And the program, you heard Sam talk about it, has had an impact on crime. Those statistics came from our own police department. So I guess I have to go on record as saying I really resent the fact that we are still presented in this community as not doing enough for the homeless. There is more work to be done, absolutely, and we're going to do it. But acknowledgement of what the city has done and the agency has done, I really, really resent that it's not being acknowledged. And that's
Accurate. You have something?
Yes, just briefly, Mr. Mayor. The Commissioner is absolutely correct. We're continuing to do things to help the homeless, and we can show it in data. We can show it in everyday finances of the city. There's over $176,000 been spent on the homeless out of Daytona Beach. Some of that went directly to the agencies serving, and some of it was spent by the city providing case management. So I don't think anybody can say we're not doing our share of the job to try to provide a solution. Now, it's our goal at this point. We approve the agreements now, and we will go forward, and in the next 90 days, we're going to have analyzed, the feasibility of moving forward to the long-term solution. And so when we make a decision to build something, we have the facts to sustain it or not do it, one or the other, make a decision. And then at that point, we can tell you exactly where the city's going as it relates to this facility. In addition, we'll also go through and have structure a transitional plan. That what happens between if we decide to go forward, what happens, how do we get to that point? We'll bring that forward at the same time. But right now we're trying to get this gap covered to continue the program we started 90 days ago.
And I want to add one other thing. I'm sorry, Mayor. We did ask for additional data, and I see Mike Cornell's out here, and I see Roberto too, both, from the shelter. Jim now has the information that we'd asked for, where some of the people in the bridge bed programs actually came from. They went back and looked at it. So we've got more concrete information that Jim will take to the cities because they didn't all come from Daytona Beach, and we know that now. So he's got the numbers to go and we'll try to work out and hammer agreements to get support, at least on the east side, as we move forward with the permanent facility and ask them for money.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're doing all that, okay?
And I want to say to the group here, Joan, and all of you who are here from Faith, and everyone who's concerned about those who are homeless, as we all are. I do stand by this commission and our commitment. It is unwavering. It is not perfect, but this is not the kind of situation. And I've met with you all, ad nauseum, and you know that. And that's, and I don't mind meeting with you and discussing this, but it's not, as I've said to you in private, it is not a simple fix. And for me, I remain behind us erecting a facility. I certainly, as I've said to you, it will not be 250 beds. I believe half of that to be shared, preferably with people on this side of the county, might begin to be sufficient for us. It might begin to be sufficient. But I'm just speaking for myself, but I just want you guys to know that I understand that when you are an advocate for something and you believe in it, you are driven to push for it until it happens. But when you are elected, we have to get it right up here from our perspective. And so we cannot rush off and construct a building without a plan and without believing that it will work. But I can only speak for myself, but I do believe that there are others who stood before you, and they can speak for themselves. I remain committed to serving this population, but I'm very proud of the work that Commissioner Woods has done and very proud of the work that's being done with the Bridge program, because it is working. It is not a perfect solution, but then again, this won't be a perfect solution either. So let us all remember that whatever it is that we do, in no one thing will be a perfect solution. But nevertheless, I did want to say that to you. But you may continue, and I encourage you to continue to put the pressure on and remind us of how important it is to you, but it remains important to us. Do we have any other comments from other commissioners?
Just a couple comments. Thank you for everybody who's worked hard on this bridge bed program and years of operation. It says 12 hours, but when can you come in and when do you have to leave the facility, the Salvation Army facility?
Typically at 8:30. Typically at 8:30 in the morning is when they are turned loose, and I think they take them anywhere in the afternoon from, I don't know the time.
I think they start lining up.
No, Roberto, come up. No, Roberto, you need to come to the microphone
to the mic.
so it's on the record. Roberto. Yeah, sorry, you're it.
You don't get much sleep.
And sir, if you can state your name for the record, thank you.
Roberto Barragan III, 100 Opal Hill Circle, Daytona Beach, Florida. Mayor, commissioners, to answer your question, we open the doors at 4 o'clock p.m. and we ask them to leave by 7:30. However, on inclement weather days, as it was today, we have staff that stays behind and leaves that door open for them to come in, so they have a place to go. They're not stuck out there in the streets. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just curious what the hours, when people are leaving in the morning.
4 p.m. to 7:30 a.m.
Okay. And it says in here that there's no criteria to come in. I mean, you can't. Anybody that the police department brings in, you're taking or not.
Jim needs to answer that piece.
They have an
Thank you very much, Roberto.
They have an evaluation form because there's various levels of homelessness and various characteristics. And right now, they're taking in the homeless that meets that criteria established by the programs. And that doesn't mean that everybody who's homeless has a bed. It just means that those that qualify as being homeless within those categories will have a place.
But we also have addressed if there's a bed needed by the police.
If you have someone who cannot, let's say we have someone who's been under the influence of alcohol or something of that nature, we do have the ability to move them to another facility instead of putting them into the population.
Right, if there's a serious medical condition or medical emergencies. But if a police officer brings someone to the facility, in
this agreement, there's 10 beds.
Or we pay for a hotel room.
There's 10 beds, or we pay for the home room.
Okay, so if someone is sleeping somewhere, they have a place that they can.
Exactly.
The police department picks them up. Right now, even though this is just a temporary program, there is a place that they can take them that is not jail.
That's correct.
Pottinger compliance, yes.
Pottinger compliance.
That's what we also want to remain.
And they're not. They don't have to go through the screening criteria. If the police department brings,
they will still go through a criteria because that's part of what we're trying to do.
But they won't be denied a bed because of that criteria.
No, if they aren't admitted to that facility, then we would put them in a hotel or somewhere.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Why would they? What would be the criteria that they wouldn't be able to stay?
You know, there is specific criteria about the characteristics of what is a homeless person that they go through, and I don't have those items with us, but they go through that analysis because it's a part of case management to determine if they are truly homeless. Because you may have people that aren't homeless at all.
They score low. Mike Cornell, just 2 minutes or less, Mike, come up and just tell them what. If there are 3 or lower, which means they don't. Anybody that scores higher, and I don't want to get into the weeds, but if Mike can give you just a real quick summary of why, Ruth, because part of it's if they have other resources, part of it's another place they could possibly go or a friend. But the very, very short version, Mike.
And Mike, if you'll state your name for the record.
Do y'all know me? Or
yeah. Can you please
Mike Cornell, 212 Robin Hood Drive, DeLand, Florida, 32724. Basically what it is I treat this as a housing program, not a shelter program. So the criteria that we use, because if you think about, we have 86 beds, so who chooses? How do you choose? What do you do? Mm-hmm. And since everything that I know of as the coordinator and designer of the Veterans Program that was able to successfully house 211 people, and are now currently housed, I use the same criteria that I use for that. So what it is that I do what's called a VI SPDAT, was an assessment tool that you all have. Mm-hmm. So during the course of that, and I can give you specific numbers, since Bridgebed has been opened, Since the bridge bed, what I have done is for bridge bed specific assessments to get in, there's been 335. 261 of those folks have been able to get into the bridge bed program. That leaves a 74-person gap. Of that, during the scoring session, you have to score, if you score a 4 or above, you're eligible for that criteria. Everything else has come as you are, except for the 24/7. Of that number, 335, only 26 individuals have actually scored less than the 4. So that's literally like less than 8% of the entire population. Because we're Salvation Army, we do then try to connect them with other resources.
Okay, but to score less than a 4,
Correct.
what kind of things? Does it mean you actually have a support system, or you haven't been on the... what is
Correctly, when you do it, and everyone can look it up what it does, what that 4 or below means is generally a few things. One, the main thing is no housing intervention is appropriate. That means for that person, variety of things. Maybe they're not homeless. Maybe they haven't been homeless that long. Maybe they're actually deceptive. They're just using the system. This is a scientific tool that has been used, and it's for housing. So when you look at it as a housing program, and that's the type of people that would score to 3, 2, or 1. Now, do we help them? I had 3 2s or 1s in the veterans program, absolutely. In March 1st of last year, I had 211. Now I have 0. Thankfully, I didn't build a $4 million shelter, but again, using that same criteria, if you look at it, that's why those people may not score with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have other questions?
I just have one more question because I see this a lot. Does anybody pay $10 a day still to go to the Salvation Army? Okay. So if I'm being told I need $10 a day to go to the Salvation Army, that's not true.
That is correct.
Okay. Thanks.
Well, you may be being told that, but
Right.
it's not correct as far as
That's not correct.
Correct.
Nobody has to pay $10.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Just remember, misinformation out there, Kelly, okay?
No, I mean by people that are asking me for $10.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yes. They would probably score about a 3 on the VI SPDAT, okay?
You laugh.
So you've been asked. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, a couple quick things.
Commissioner.
I'm going to support this tonight, but we have an ordinance that says we're not going to do this. I'm not going to support this again. I mean, at the end of this 90 days, that's 6 months, half a year that we have allowed an expansion of social service against our policy. And, we either need to change the policy to allow those expansions, or we need to make this, the last iteration of the city providing these 90 beds. It is my understanding that there are other communities that you've talked to that are recognizing that they are, and that dialogue is ongoing. So hopefully we're going to have some East Volusia partners as we move forward, and hopefully they're going to be our long-term partners.
Yes.
Obviously, we were all hopeful that Safe Harbor was going to work. We can't spend 10% of our tax dollars, 10% of tax dollars in Daytona Beach on funding the operations of Safe Harbor. A similar program on a smaller scale that's an East Volusia consortium. I'm hopeful we're going to be able to bring to fruition, and I would also hope that we're the only ones who've actually committed to a 6-figure operational dollar contribution every year. I pray to God you're going to every county council meeting, because they pledge $0. 0. They are the ones that have county-wide authority, and they are the ones who have said that they would not participate in operations at all. So, we need partners in this thing to make it work. If we recall, that's where I really wanted to stress early on that we got the funding partners lined up before we started doing things like committing capital. Fortunately, we made good decisions to not get ourselves kind of painted into the corner, but, we've learned a lot in the last 2 years. And I do believe that the program framework is solid and reasonable and viable, and I'm hopeful that we really are at that point where we're going to have partners that are going to step in and help us address this issue.
And I think to what you were saying, we did talk to cities, and cities I think are part of it, but there are other partners at the table too, in hospitals and maybe other not-for-profits. So I think we spent a long time getting to the place where we we got the presentation for Safe Harbor in January. And nothing, I mean, I still think that we have done things to move forward in that direction. And I know there's other things going on, but I still feel committed to that framework. And we, in this next 90 days, need to decide as a commission, are we still, or is that what we're doing? Are we doing something else? What can we support? Because it's not fair to the homeless. It's not fair to the people who are out there working on this for us to not be clear about what we want to see move forward. So, you know, this is a hard thing for me to say yes to because of the way that the history behind all this, of how we got here. But if I feel that we have some sort of plan in the next 90 days, I don't know if we want to set some dates, or, I mean, we need to have some sort of framework, because last time we had the same exact conversation when we did the 90 days. Like, we're gonna be somewhere in 90 days. So.
Let me chime in real quick.
Yeah.
I think we made a lot of progress in the last 90 days from where we were. If we just look at where we were to where we are now, we have made a lot of progress. And my mindset is, in this next 90 days, we will make even more progress. Where when we come to the end of these 90 days, I feel confident that we'll have some type of plan that we possibly could move forward on. That's why I'm going to support it.
Oh yeah,
Now,
I think we're all in support. But
you know, I'm not for doing this 3-4 more other times. But when I compare 90 days that we made in this last 90 days to where we were, I think we made a significant amount of progress. And all we need to do is just keep it rolling. Keep it going. Pam, you and your crew is doing a good job. Just keep it going. We can't lose momentum. And if we don't do this, I think we will lose momentum.
And Pam's involvement and her expertise and commitment to this is, honestly, I think the number one reason why we've made so much progress.
Absolutely.
Well,
And I personally can't thank you enough for everything that you've done.
I appreciate it, but it's been, it's been a team effort, and it really has been. You know, nobody does anything by themselves, so it's really been everybody come to the table. But I want you to, well, because we're going to vote, but I want you to think about this. 90 days, there's no way to have a building built and a facility for people. So, no, but we can't not do for the homeless after 90 days. We've got to figure out a way to continue to provide service and shelter till the building's built. And so that's what I'm saying to you, is that we need to be fully aware that we've got to figure out a way after this next 90 days are up that we can continue to deliver service, because I don't care what we do, there's no way to have a building up so quickly that we can walk away.
yeah, and I'm not talking about a building up. I'm just saying we're still kind of grappling. Like, well, we don't know what we're doing long term. I mean, we can't be there in 90 days.
No, and I agree.
Or maybe we need to say, this is the next year plan. And I don't know when to bring this up. I know we're not talking about long term, we're talking about short term, but when else do we talk about it? We need to set some sort of goals quickly, or we'll...
I think I understand what you're saying, and I want to say, how do we basically get there? Because we do have to go someplace.
Right.
We can't just say that we believe in it, and that's why these folks are here. So I'll let you speak to that for a moment.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, what we're doing, just so you know what we're doing right now, we're looking at the existing initial report, and we're revising the initial report to reflect the area that we think is going to be served, which is East Volusia and the communities within East Volusia. We're targeting the point-in-time information to identify the number of participants, and we're also finalizing some of the characteristics of the structures to accommodate a smaller population, and at the same time look to have the ability to expand it if you have to go that way in the future. But all indications are that it will continue to contract if we get this thing moving in the right direction. So we're already working on these things, and my job now is to tie up agreements with the cities and the county so that we can finalize it and come back to you and have not only the plan but also have the cost associated with its operations, the concept, and the estimated operational cost all together, so we can look at how we're going to divide up that cost package and who's going to play a part in making it work. So that's the goal, and 90 days is the time clock I'm working on.
Okay.
Within that 90-day structure, as you're talking to the cities and getting the commitment from them, perhaps we can also get the commitment on the temporary provisions that we're making for them to help offset this cost that we're experiencing until we have our facility built. If
Well,
they're going to partner with us, perhaps they'll be willing
They
to
will.
partner.
They will. I've asked them.
They
so.
partner with us on this, what we're doing now,
Correct.
something of this
Yeah.
nature?
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Because guess what?
What?
They're coming from those places, and we know they're being dropped off.
Yeah.
And we have eyewitness testimony that they're being dropped off from other places, okay?
All right.
Okay. I think that was healthy discussion. Do we have any other questions or comments? None. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those who are in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Likes not opposed, same sign. This motion passes 7-0.